Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Here we are in the beginning stages of any foundation. First thing we always do is all the underground plumbing. So what we're doing here is we're running all the sewer lines. So everything that you see there is going to be a sewer line. Everything comes to this main line, and then from here we send it onto the street. There's going to be a connection going to the street, right? Also, another thing that we do is we run the main water line where we're going to get water to the house. So from here we have our water meter connection. From here we send the water meter connection to the house with this trench going into the house, and then on the side we tie it to the foundation. Once we pass our inspections, then we get started on the bagging process. The bagging process is going to be what fills up your foundation. So see, also one of the important things for these water lines or sewer lines is going to be all the bedding that we have there. So we got to make sure that we support all these drains to make sure that they don't fall down and we don't have any backfall where like the sewer line would push the water back instead of sending it to the street. Also, we also do a test where we fill up these water lines with water. Throughout the process, I'm gonna come by and I'm gonna check, make sure that those water lines have water to make sure we don't have any breaks, because it's very important that we don't pour a foundation with a broken water line. So we gotta make sure. Hey guys, how's it going? Here we're working on what we start before we start doing the bags. So what we're doing here is we're digging out a trench on the whole exterior of the foundation. This trench at the end is going to be like a big square of concrete. It's going to be encasing your foundation. Also, what these guys are working on is the bagging process. So the bagging is the gravel that's going to go in between the squares of foundation, right? So we have a post tension cable foundation, and that's what these guys are doing. So we're going to fill them up to the certain height that the plan requires, but we're going to have some trenches in between. So you see this space right here. So we're going to have a line right here all the way from side to side, and that's going to be like a long line of in case of full concrete. So we always have to keep an eye out on all these pipes, make sure they always have water. That's why we test them and we make sure that they have water. So this guy's going to be digging that trench all the way in the exterior of the house. It's going to be the exterior beam, and then we're going to have some beams in between. Once we get this bags ready, I'm going to come back and I'm going to make another video. You guys enjoy your day for now. Thank you. Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. So these are the trenches that I'm talking about, right? So this is a big trench right here. We call this a beam of concrete, right? There's gonna be another one there. We're gonna have that big um, beam right here, right? So see what these guys are doing. They're filling out those bags. So whenever we talk about the bagging process, this is what we're talking about. We're filling up that foundation with bags of gravel, and we're gonna have those beams right in between. So by the time we pour, all this is gonna be filled with concrete. These is going to be filled with concrete, and the whole perimeter of the foundation is going to be filled with concrete. We always want to keep coming back to check, make sure all these water lines, these sewer lines have water in them, because if we have a break, we want to make sure we fix it before we pour your foundation. So this is what your foundation is going to look like before we pour it. Hey guys, welcome back. So we have finished the bagging process. This foundation is almost ready. So what we finished here was we finished the bags, and what we have here is we have a lot of beams, right? So a lot of squares of bags. So all these spaces that you see here are gonna be filled with concrete here, and then concrete all the way around the edge, right? So pretty much this is what fills your foundation. So all this material is a lot more flexible with the ground, and we only put the concrete on top, and then on all these beams that you see here. We're gonna get ready to do some cables on top of all this and cover all this up with the same material that you see here. So we're gonna cover all that up. Also, another inspection that I like to do is I like to come out here and check, make sure that all these water lines or sewer lines still have their water in there. Because sometimes what happens when these guys are using the bobcats, they damage some of these lines and they get broken. And if you don't check them and you pour a house, then you have to turn to the foundation after you pour. So you always want to keep checking that. That's something that I do throughout the whole process, even the day before we pour. The plumber will be doing that as well, but I like to follow up after them. So this is the bagging process, and this is what I wanted to show you. All these spaces that you see here, so all those squares that you see here eventually are going to be filled with concrete, and then we're going to have some concrete on top of all that. Um, hey guys, welcome back. So here we're back at this foundation, right? And what we have here is we have this form on the front. last time. So this is called the header, and we have completed the bagging process, and we have installed the cables. So this is what your foundation looks like before we pour it. So see all those beams that are going in between, right? So we have a couple of cables there. Those cables at the end will get stressed, so they'll pull them on one side to tighten everything up, right? We normally do that a couple of days after we pour the foundation. Um, one more thing that I like to just come by and check again is I like to come in here and make sure that we still got water, so we still got water there, just to make sure that these pipes are holding water, right? So this is what your foundation looks like. We'll be pouring this house in a couple of days. We got to do a couple of city inspections, and we'll get ready to pour. I always like to come in here and make sure that there's no trash, make sure all these cables have chairs or these little plastic deals that hold the cables are called the chairs. So I always like to come by and do a couple of inspections on the foundation as we go through. Hey guys, welcome back. So here we're ready for our municipal inspections and also for our engineer inspection. So what we have installed in here, we have installed a UFER. We call this the ground wire. So we're grounding um, the um, a slab, right? So we're running this cable all the way up to 20 feet, and this one's going to be attached to the actual meter can on the outside of the house. We will also have a primary grounding rod on the outside of the house, also attached to the meter. Also, what we have done in here, we have wrapped up all these pipes just to give them some flexibility around that concrete, right? So we want to have some room in between those pipes because, you know, if the foundation shifts, you know, you don't want to have any breaks because that foundation is going to be next to the pipes. We also want to make sure that we still have water on these pipes. You know, I keep on digging on this, but this is very important. Hear that? I always want to come back here and check, make sure that we still got water on all these pipes because this is the right time to make sure we fixed any issues before we pour this foundation. We also ran our conduit for our island, so we ran those underground, right? I mean, underneath the foundation, and also we ran the water lines underneath. That way we get water to the island and we get power to the island as well, and then this is just going to be our drain for the island. So we're pretty much ready to pour this foundation. So this is what your post tension cable foundation looks like before we pour it. Once we get everything okay from the inspectors, we'll be getting ready to pour this foundation. Pouring. Welcome back, guys. So we're getting ready to pour some concrete. Machines are getting ready. We got the concrete ready. Guys are ready, and we're ready to go. These guys have been pouring concrete since 4 o'clock in the morning. So these guys are gonna get started to pour some concrete on your house. Go, guys. Remember all those beams we talked about? So all those are going to be filled with concrete. They're filling up pretty quickly. So we're going to get started. These guys are going to go for about an hour, maybe 2 hours to fill everything up. They fill up pretty quickly. So what we're doing here is we're filling up first the exterior beam. That's what these guys are working on right now. So they're going all the way around the house. They're going to be filling all the exterior. They'll come back and put more later on, right? But we want to do it in layers. So filling up the exterior beam is the first thing they want to do. Hey guys, so these guys are done with the exterior beam. Now we're going to start working on the interior beam. We got about 10 guys working here, 2 trucks at all time, and we got this big pump truck filling up the slab for this foundation. Just working that vibrator in there, trying to get all those air molecules out of that concrete so we don't have any air gaps in between. So they'll be constantly working on that foundation throughout the whole pouring time. Now these guys are starting to fill the beams in the middle. Also, they're gonna put about 4 inches on concrete on top of all those bags. So those cables are gonna be in between 4 inches of 4 inches of concrete, and then at the end we're gonna be stressing them, pulling them. Once we pour that foundation, we'll let it rest for a couple of days and they'll come out and pull those cables. One more thing that I forgot to mention, guys, something that I always like to do. See, now we're pouring concrete, right? One more time, right? This is the last time to check. So we want to make sure that we still got water on those pipes, because it'll be a major issue if you pour a house and you don't have any water on these pipes, because you'll have a broken sewer line and then you're gonna have to chip into that slab that you just poured. So I always like to come back and check one last time when these guys are doing the pour. We're almost done with this foundation. Now they're doing the top layer. They're also going to use the vibrator there on top to get those air molecules out of there. So all they got to do is just do that top layer, and then the guys are going to come by and do the finish on the top. And these guys are working on establishing the levelness of that concrete. That's the first time. They're going to start doing that later on. They're going to come by with a polisher to finish it, and they're using a laser level they got set up over there to measure for levelness. Now this foundation unfortunately is not going to be perfect, but you know, our national standard for deviation for concrete is 1/4 of an inch for every 4 feet. So these guys are starting to work on that. Later on they'll come out and they'll start working with the polisher to finish the concrete on top. See what this guy's doing? He's checking for level there, so that way they can have a point of reference. And then they'll keep on following, scraping all that off, making it smooth. They'll come out later and do another, once it hardens up, they'll come out with a polisher to finish it off. Checking for level, make sure we have a level foundation. And so what you see that guy doing is using that a little scraper, but to hit the rocks to the bottom, right? That way we don't have any rock surfacing, and it's easier to finish the concrete. So they gotta make sure that they do that throughout the whole concrete, so they can have that concrete only on top and the rocks at the bottom. If you have rocks at the top, then that means that they did not do that process. Well, these guys are waiting for the other pumps of trucks of concrete. They're finishing up this little area here, so I'm trying to get it as level as they can. After this, we're gonna come back with the little fan spinner that's gonna be doing that little last finishing coat. See what that guy is doing there? So that's gonna be the last layer, or the last time they're gonna be scraping that off. They're gonna let it dry out for a little while, and then later on we'll come out with the polisher. See what we got here? So what we gotta do is we gotta let it dry up before anybody can step on there, because if they start stepping on it, they're gonna sink in, right? So they gotta let it dry out for a little while, and then later on they're gonna be coming back with the last finisher. That way they can make everything nice and smooth at the top. So first we gotta let it dry up. So these guys are almost done with this foundation. Hey guys, what this guy's working on is that last polish that they always do whenever they finish pouring the foundation. So he's gonna go all the way around the foundation, and he's gonna get everything polished up. I have sped up the speed so you can see what it looks like. Also, they'll be removing all the form boards so we can get ready to start framing on top of that foundation. Hey guys, welcome back. We're in the last stage. These guys are prepping all these cables to get them pulled. That's what we call this foundation, a post-tension cable system. So what they're doing is they're putting on some shims on these cables, and they're marking them up. They have the machine ready that pulls those cables. They're gonna get ready to start pulling all these cables to tighten up that foundation. Normally that takes place a couple of days after the foundation is poured. So here they just hook up that machine, and they just check for the pressure. So they're pulling it up to like 700 to 800. So they're gonna start pulling all these cables. See, they mark them up so they can see how much they pull them, but the pressure is going to be 700 to 800. That machine just holds onto that cable and he pulls it out just to tighten up all that foundation. So they're going to go all the way around. Once they get pulled, they're going to start cutting all these cables. So that's the last step on getting your foundation done 100%. Hey guys, welcome. So here we have it. Foundation is ready. It took us about 2 weeks to get this foundation completed, right? You guys saw the guys pulling the cables. The last step, which was polishing this foundation, we let it dry for a couple of days, and then we get started on working on the frame. Frame walls are going to be delivered in a couple of days. And I did want to talk to you about a couple of things once we get this foundation completed. First of all, do not be alarmed if you see a hairline crack on your foundation. Now, hairline crack is pretty normal on concrete. Now, every concrete is going to eventually crack. So see this little hairline crack that we have here? Now this hairline crack is not even, a quarter of an inch. I mean, a 32nd of an inch, right? Anytime you want to have a concern of a crack on a foundation is anytime you see this crack be bigger than a quarter of an inch. So if this space in here becomes bigger than this quarter of an inch here, that's when we want to bring out the engineer so they can come by and take a look at the measurements for these foundations to see if there's any repairs needed. And then one last thing that I like to check, like I've been checking throughout all these videos that we've been seeing, is water on these pipes, right? We want to make sure that after everything has been poured, that you guys have water on these pipes. So we still have water on these pipes, and this house is ready to go, right? We still want to check the pipes, make sure they have water during the building process when we start framing this house, because we want to make sure that these pipes are holding water, because we want to make sure we don't have any issues once we complete the house. So that's it, guys. Foundation completed. Hope you like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and enjoy your day. Thank you.